said. I hate to sound cliche, but I honestly don't know how to follow everybody that spoke here except for, I don't know, maybe save the best for last. I don't know. No, like for me, I was asked to talk about the importance of self advocacy, and there's so many pieces to it, but I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. Self advocacy it can sometimes suck, but it's essential. Okay, because we in the disability community, we're just born, right? We just live. And my mom and my support circle never really, and true friends never really treated me like I had a disability. So I didn't see the problem. It's everybody else that has the problem. I was told I was going to be a vegetable. I was not going to be able to, well, they told my mom I was going to be a vegetable. I wasn't going to be able to talk. Sometimes people wish I just would shut up. It, 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 we in the disability community overall have been putting up with labels for our whole lives, and um, as I said, we just are, right? So right around high school and stuff like that, or yeah, right around high school, I started to really see how people see people with disabilities, how they see only limits. Grade 9, I went to the guidance counselor and I said, I want to be a writer, I want to be a filmmaker, and all I knew was you go to high school, you talk to the guidance counselor, uh, they kind of help you set up direction. That's what I thought, right? Instead, they just said stuff like, well, with your learning disability and your English skills, you're never going to be able to be a writer. Near the end of high school, I um, I was told, well, my whole class was told that we were going. One of our assignments was to do a grocery list and a budget. Somebody put down T-bone steak, and our teacher's aide, Mrs. Francesini, I'll never forget. She said, "You guys aren't going to be able to afford a T-bone steak. You're not going to be able to buy a bag of potatoes. You're going to have to buy individual potatoes." Why, I don't know. But she just put limits on us right away. They were dismissive of me, and at the end of high school, I started to resent it, and I ended high school in 2005, 2006, maybe depending on how it. No, 2005. So that was the year that the AODA was put into effect, right? So I didn't know anything about that. I learned that from peers. One of the major ones being a co-founder of ILSM, and somebody mentioned him in the video, Earl Black. Uh, we leaned on each other, and that's one other thing with peer support in ILSM and self advocacy. We need to learn from the advocates of the past. We wouldn't have ILSM, or we wouldn't have the rights we have as people with disabilities without self advocates and without their allies that helped them, because they needed to say our allies didn't just, the advocates didn't just wake up one day and the institutions of the past were gone. I mean, there's still institutions in Ontario, but, or no, not sorry, in Canada. The last institution in Ontario closed in 2009. So when you learn about all these things, all these milestones in disability rights. That's how we protect our rights, and we learn that from other advocates. And don't be surprised, by the way, when you learn about about everything. Don't be surprised when you talk to people and they're not aware. Some people brought it up already, how people don't know about the direct funding program. And let me specify one thing about that as a side note. If anybody applies for the direct funding program, and let's say you had a bad interview or it just wasn't your best day, you can reapply in the future. Somebody didn't don't bring that up, but that's one thing that is important to know with that too. So we need whoops, we need to know though that self advocacy doesn't just most self advocates get into self advocacy because they have to, whether it's acquiring a disability or having to fight for the rights as tenants or as people receiving services. We still in Canada are getting buildings built and houses built that are not built for us, and we're supposed to have an accessible Canada by 2030 or 40, and we can't get there without self advocates and without our allies. And if you learn about your rights as a person with a disability, you will be proud once you start to assert your rights. It's going to be there's going to be times when it's challenging. You may be called you may be called someone that just wants to rock the boat, but it's don't let that get to you, because if you believe in something and you want to be treated like a quote normal individual without a disability, which by the way there is no such thing as normal. That's See, Julie, you're not the only one. I lost my train of thought too. But my self advocacy came with a big price a little bit. It came with a chip on my shoulder, and um, we need to understand that some people that are oppressed, such as the disability community, don't even realize, or not realize, sorry, they don't know how to let it out. So yeah, of course, there's going to be some members of our community that are mad and maybe considered difficult because we've been considered lucky or considered a burden if we rock the boat. Somebody brought up the word burden. That's very much a thing. Um, and like I said, the AODA and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and all that, that's 2005 wasn't that long ago, guys. I mean, we're 2 years away from being 20 years since the AODA has been enacted. That's not long. So there are going to be people that don't know. There are going to be people that don't want to know. And it's going to be declared, most of the time when we ask for our rights, it's declared that it's going to be a financial burden. But you got to realize, for any people that use that argument, let me correct you, because if you modify your business or you accommodate us, then we're going to bring more business to you because you're a nice person. I would think anyway. So, self advocacy is essential to finding your identity. It's essential to learning skills. You learn those social skills. You learn those independent skills. When I lost my services from an agency, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but I couldn't do it without some of the support of ILSM and without the support of my circle. And one other thing I'd like to touch on is that some people can't advocate, don't know how to advocate, and I'm gonna leave it to. I have 5 minutes left from what I was told. So what I wanted to say with that was, with those 5 minutes, is there anything I didn't say, didn't touch on in terms of disability rights? Is there anything that maybe somebody wants to start maybe we can have a conversation about what should change? I want to leave it up to you guys with the last 5 minutes. Is there anything? Yes.
So how can we as community members help to support you with advocacy?
Well, I'll say this in 2 ways. For politicians that got to deal with people that are angry, uh, I will say you guys do an amazing job, and I'm sorry for any flack you get. And I will say directly, sorry to Jamie or Andy or Franz for any time I was cranky when I lost my services. But because I did feel alone. So what I will say back to Angela's question was just reassert that to people that they're not alone. Uh, like I said, Earl and I had conversations about the way things were. So we need to have conversations about the past, about the present, about the future, because if we don't, then we're going to forget everything that came before it, and we're going to slip backwards, and we kind of are. So just give us a space to be safe and talk, and also remember that with policies such as, we can educate but we can't advocate, that is true. That's part of what came with the getting government funding somewhat. But also the we didn't get there by operating within the regular system. So we need to figure out a way that community members can give people not only the education, but the space to advocate for more change. That's one thing. Anything else? In those 2 minutes or whatever may be left. Charles?
Yeah, definition of accessible housing. If you're in a high rise, you have a fire and there's stairs, you're a bit screwed. Can't get out much.
Exactly. And I will say we need more community buildings like what ILSM is planning to do, and I hope um, I hope to be there when you guys put some shovels in the ground, and I'm amazed because we are in an institutional crisis for disability rights, and I just wanted to thank ILSM. And somebody's got a question, sir?
Yeah, with the Ontario government's pressure now to increase housing in this province, looking at it from the standpoint of just being myself watching the news, thinking, are the disabled groups going to be recognized in having these communities develop so they're actually going to be accessible? Or is this going to just be pushed under the rug?
That's what I'm afraid of, and that's why we need more self advocacy. Is it being pushed under the rug? Because don't forget, in 2017, the Canadian government did sign on to the right for Charles. Help me out here with the name of the Housing Act, the Canada.
Housing Act?
Yes, the Canada Housing Act of 2017, I believe it was. Or yeah, when they signed on for the UN's right, or the UN right for persons.
United Nations.
Yes.
Housing Act,
Yes, because when we get all these housings built, I am worried about Okay, let's build more warehouses to put people with disabilities. So I want what this nice gentleman brought up. I want people in the disability community at the table. I believe that's my time. Thank you for your time.